streams look to be a go.
Nice.
Well, I had to double check just to be sure. All right. Yep, we are set.
Oh, sweet.
The streams are connected.
Yes, crossing the streams.
I'm excited for that.
Tips. Oh, this is gonna be
No, Sam. I don't think that's where this one was going. Crossing streams, touching tips. That's a completely different Ghostbusters.
Are they?
Yes.
I don't know. It
Yeah.
seemed the same to me.
We got a duck, man. We got a duck.
Well, listen, you got to stop watching those pirated films on Pornhub. I'm telling you, it's a very different Avengers. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yes, Thor's hammer.
As it stands, though, I got a question for you, Sam. You too. What would you both say would be the wildest one shot that you've ever been a part of, player or DM wise?
I haven't really been a part of that many, to be honest. I mean, probably the Bloodborne one that I ran.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting one. For me, I'd say probably the Ruby one that I ran a while back, because Ruby's just a very over-the-top, it's a very simple D10 system that's very over-the-top, and as a show, it's very over-the-top. Mm-hmm. So you can really just kind of be like, hey, anime fuckery, have at it.
That one was fun.
Yeah.
I remember a lot from it, to be honest.
I mean, either one. The first time I ran it, I had a coked up dude show up at my door, be like, "Hey, man, just want to be friends. Don't kick me out."
That is so true.
NPC number 5, man.
I remember this story.
It was a wild night. How about you?
That's fantastic. I don't know. Most wild with one shot. Actually, I do have one. This is. I'm so sorry. My best friend James. So first time he invited him over to play some D&D, and we made his character the night before and what have you. And game is just about to start. We all go out for a quick pre-game smoke. And I don't know what happened, man, but he passed out and just completely fell off of the stairs and smashed his face. And his name is Smash Mouth now. So I'm sorry, James, I love you, buddy. But that was the first and last time we played D&D, unfortunately.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's right up there with the time I was in this one game, and one of the players in the game, he was a little high, and he had just recently got himself a gun, so he was like kind of liking that. So yeah, he puts a bullet hole through the ceiling of the place that he was in.
No way!
Mid campaign.
That's insane.
Yeah, so it's just like this was all being done online, so only one other player was in the room with him, and we're just like, we just hear a bang. It's like, what was that? Did someone like slam a car door or something? It's like, no, just put a hole in the roof. How the fuck you put a hole in the roof? I shot it. I thought it wasn't loaded. You are ex-military. You're ex-military, and you decided to fuck around, and you found out. Okay.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
That is funny, but that's scary shit.
That's the real Scared Straight program right there.
Yeah.
He learned to not do that in our games. It's a good thing I made a rule for my games moving forward that there's a limit to how much weed and alcohol can be used before a game.
Yeah.
What about during?
I'm all for it as long as you're,
limits.
Like if you can control yourself, I don't care, whatever. Yeah, as long as you're not disrupting the game, you're not disrupting the players. Yeah, I'm good, man. I don't really care if you can handle your shit. That's cool.
I'm the same way with that. I'm perfectly fine with people doing it, but the moment in game you're incapable of opening a door, then we have problems.
Yeah, exactly. Right. 100%. If you're you can't even sit straight in your own chair or whatever you're doing.
Like I think that is a fantastic mark to start the show. with our statement being, do drugs in moderation.
There we go. The new jam program.
Stay in school, kids. You'll have money for drugs.
You'll have money for weed. Yes.
And welcome to Dungeons and Talkshows, the show that brings you monsters, news, homebrews, and a little something special for your games. Do so in moderation. I am your host, Orion.
And I am your host, Sam. Welcome to a new episode.
It's been quite a week, and you know what? We have a amazing guest with us today. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, name's John, JohnnyDM. How's everyone doing? I'm excited for tonight. This is going to be quite the evening, I'm sure.
Well, that's because you know a little bit about the news for tonight.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, dude, I can't even bury the lead on that one. We have to jump into that. And that's why we got...
This is TNM, bringing you Nerd News.
Yeah, this week in Nerd News, we found some very interesting, I thought it was a joke when I read this. I'm sure you didn't believe me when I said, you're like, wait, Orion, what? I had to send you the article. And it wasn't even the only one. There were a few others. So, yeah. In a unique and educational initiative, there's a Dungeons and Dragons streaming show called Science and Sorcery, and they're teaming up with the United Kingdom's Vagina Museum for a special fundraising one-shot called Critical Hit. Now, first off, I'm gonna stop y'all right there. Terrible joke. Terrible joke. Critical Hit. Y'all can do better than that.
I don't know. The dad joke in me is kind of all over it.
The dad joke in me says, critical hit. Nah. A critical clit. Yeah. See?
I don't know.
You know what? Maybe our viewers can vote on which is better.
There it is. All important vote. This is the vote of the lifetime right here.
Yeah. Vote it up. Critical hit or critical clit? I do not know. But either way, the event is set inside the reproductive system of D&D's biggest monster, the Tarrasc. Aims to raise awareness about gynecological anatomy and health. The story follows a band called Critical Hit as they embark on a mission to infiltrate the Dragon's Lair, which is located inside the well-preserved Tarrasc. Well-preserved? Is this thing dead? Is this a necrophilia campaign? What?
Hold on, wait a minute, Tarrascs don't even breed like that.
There's only one to each realm. This has questions.
So why would it have... What?
So they hold on. There's a dragon lair inside the Tarrasc?
I guess so. And the dragon's lair is the genital.
What?
I mean,
where do they keep the horde? In the ovaries?
Oh, okay. Maybe it's like fossilized Tarrasc or something.
Okay.
Maybe it's like a sleep.
Right. It's dormant, so it just kind of hops into its asshole and makes a home.
Yeah, there are some rules for that.
Interesting.
I have to. Man. I would hope that it's fossilized. Otherwise, you're going to have to deal with a whole lot of greasy surfaces, and grease is a terrible spell to deal with. And as is, that Scooby-Doo magic goes hard, but to have an entire adventure covered in Scooby-Doo magic, That actually, given the context, that sounds way more risque than I intended it to sound.
I'm so confused.
Featuring reading further this, featuring guest hosts from various science disciplines, including a neuroscientist, a pharmacologist, so they got some doctorate type people, some people in the scientific fields. The live stream game encourages players to incorporate relevant scientific knowledge and the unorthodox choice of the Tarrasc's reproductive system as lair serves both as a creative element and an opportunity to impart educational insights. The event will be broadcast live on Science and Sorcery's Twitch channel, February 2nd at 7 p.m. GMT, allowing viewers to contribute to the Vagina Museum through donations for in-game advantages or story choices. What?
Okay. There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
So, like, are they just walk around and just be like point, but like this is the Tarrasc's ovaries or whatever? Like,
is this first
did
off,
you know their ovaries would be 7,000 pounds? And you're like, what?
These things are literally asexual, and I get it. Homebrew. Perfectly fine for Tarrasc in your world to be
100%
a genital thing. I mean, I once homebrewed a beholder that was a lesbian, but the story arc for that one is that beholders canonically don't have a gender. They are asexual beings that are created through magical means. So I thought the fun idea there was like a beholder has a dream, and in that dream, he dreams that it is a woman and has sexual needs, but then that creates a beholder that has those needs. But guess what? Beholders are asexual and paranoid. So you have a sexually frustrated creature with no possible outlet. So it's like, okay,
it's something.
So you have like a teenage beholders pretty much going on here.
Yes, exactly.
Going through puberty. That's terrifying, actually.
Yeah, just a beholder that is very upset because it cannot have a lover. It cannot be with any of its own kind. It has desires that other beholders will never reciprocate. That makes for a very upset, very angry beholder.
Extremely,
I'm very curious because like a Tarrasc isn't even like relatively close to any normal animal, physiology. So like, why would it have any type of vagina that we would be able to understand in the first place? Like,
I'm just thinking like a Tarrasc is big, gargantuan, this is a massive creature, but altogether, even as big as it is, I don't think its vagina would be any bigger than, maybe a block.
It'd be like walking through one of those
maybe about the size of walking into a small museum.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just don't understand. I get the connection kind of, but I don't at the same time. It's like I don't understand how D&D and vaginas and Tarrascs are like mixed together in this. I really don't.
I feel like this sounds like something like I'd be scrolling through YouTube, then all of a sudden, like Crit Crab reads a story about a DM that has the party show up in monster vagina, and
this is D&D horror story shit right here.
Yes,
100%.
But it's broadcast everywhere. It's like this is exactly what a D&D horror story like. It has the ingredients.
I don't get it. I mean, I hope it works out. It's educational, but I don't understand.
Like, I want to know who pitched this.
Who are the players? What are their characters like? I need more information.
Yeah,
I don't need questions. I need answers.
Is this a combat one shot? Come on, give me more.
What's the role playing aspect here? Like, how we,
Yeah, they got positions. Can I get involved?
You know what? I'd have to say that. They can't spend the entire time being all upset about where they are in the adventure. So, like,
Although it would be kind of cool if it was like one of those, what was that movie from like the 60s or whatever, where they shrink all down and they go through the body. Like that'd be kind of a cool adventure.
Yeah, it'd be like the Magic School Bus.
Yeah, Magic School Bus. Thank you. Like that would be super cool, right? But no, we gotta. I don't get it. Like, why wouldn't we do that?
I mean, everyone remembers the Magic School Bus episode where they just went into a giant vagina, right?
They shrunk down. It would be like Pacific Rim when they went into the kaiju body, right? And they were like, "Huh, I can't see in here."
Who turned out the lights?
I guess she's pregnant. Like,
I just think that that SpongeBob episode, like, depending on how the improv goes, they'll find like a sack and let's quick. We found an embryo. Turn on the lights. Twins.
Oh man. Oh, yeah.
But
so good.
Who comes up with this
give
stuff?
us the answers,
Damn. you know what? I'm not really a drugs guy, but I want to know. I want to know what they're taking for this.
I can't believe we spent 10 minutes laughing about this.
I mean, how could you not? I mean, you know. It's just such a weird thing that I wouldn't expect D&D to be connected to. I just don't get it. I don't understand.
And because it's a D&D one-shot, and it's for a charity, what's Wizards of the Coast gonna do? They gonna say, no, you can't do this. This is bad for our brand. They already spent an entire year burning their brand to the ground.
That's true. That's very true. They don't need other people to do it for them.
I mean, outsourcing. That's the story of China right there. They can outsource the burn down. And at least if someone else does it, it's funny.
And that's another disaster that I just don't understand.
I would love to see that go to court, though. Like, you can't run this kind of thing, and then have to explain to the judge that these people are ruining your brand by playing pretend and pretending to be these people hiding out in a monster vagina.
Yeah, at what point does it become like a slander?
I don't know, but I'm interested to see what happens. Like, it's a very odd choice for charity, but why is there even an entire museum for that? Like, I could see like maybe like a full genital museum where like you have like a, you know, you kind of split it down the middle, like maybe like a sexual reproduction for like a maybe like a full historium, but just, do you really need a whole museum for just
is there
one set?
For like a whole you could be like a whole Tarrasc like skeleton. That would be kind of crazy.
Yeah, like I that's the thing, right? Like there's a whole monster there. I feel that we could just explore instead of one area. I don't
Yeah, like I could imagine like going throughout the body, like dude.
Yeah. That'd be cool, man. I gotta fight like a weird, like, I don't know, whale liver something monster. Like that'd be cool.
Yeah, it'd be like that Kingdom Hearts level.
Imagine a scenario where like a huge fight took place. You know, the Tarrasc awoke, it was defeated, but now they have the corpse to deal with, right? It's this massive body.
Yeah, fighting
creatures,
these.
There's monsters that want it. There's countries that probably want pieces of it. You know what I mean? Like
maybe.
Yeah,
like,
that's cool.
They don't exactly truly die, so having to contend with massive bacteria and antibodies.
Think
about the creatures that are going to want that body.
Yeah, yeah. Or the creatures that come out of it as it like.
Yeah, that come out of it.
Like you know, like such rotting and decaying.
That would be a huge like plot point that you could talk about.
It being like a cause of you know, whatever, some undead so cool. Whatever, like I don't know, you know, dude, plague or some crap. That'd be sweet.
All kinds of like aberrations and stuff.
Yeah,
and celestials being like, we want that corpse.
Like, yeah, see, that's just it, right? Like gods would probably start getting involved because you know it's a Tarrasc. It's pretty, you know, legendary, right?
I think they're missing out on some serious potential with other organs, like, you know, the pancreas, the liver, like,
yeah.
Oh shit, you're falling into the stomach. Like, shit.
Stomach, just like giant, first thought is like gelatinous cube in the stomach. You know what I mean? Like just acid cube monster. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, think about what the Tarrasc eats too.
Yeah.
Anything and everything. So you could literally you have to traverse what's left of the stomach and go from point A to point B. And then you have to fight things along the way. Everything is just a caustic mess. And you're trying to get from one safe spot to the next. Makeshift boats and everything.
Whole, like ruin in there. And there's like a village of people that are like, we're trapped in a what?
Oh, that's sick. You meet some village. Oh, yes.
That would be crazy.
Man.
And
that'd be so good.
And they'd have to be all recovering from the carnage. And then meanwhile, like, then you show up and like, shit, bro, it sucks to be swallowed, but we're on our way out.
Yeah. That would be interesting. Like a whole on like rescue mission. They don't even know that they're inside of a Tarrasc. They just, they've been there for generations or eons or whatever. They don't know any better.
I like
Imagine
that.
The party, right? The king is like, or, some powerful figure is like, all right, we got to get in there quick. We got to get our pieces and get out. We need a small team. What to do? Party. Boom. Send them in.
The Expendables Tarrasc edition.
Job done. Yeah. If you can and get out.
Like the king knows.
Awesome.
I could see that. And that would be really fun.
Yeah. That'd be a fun one shot, man. Just like special forces type of just like go in inside the Tarrasc and find them. That'd be dope.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. That'd be really cool. Yeah, see, there's so many options, man. Like I just like even an ear canal, like that'd be like some weird wax monster. Like that'd be so gross. Just get stuck to the side of the ear. Like it'd be awesome. Hairs and stuff come out and start wrapping around you.
Oh yeah, like they're all ropers or something.
Yeah. Oh man, roper earwax is so terrifying.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think of that one South Park episode where they like made a big emphasis about microbiomes. Like a microbiome in this case would be a macrobiome in the sense that it's scaled up to our size, humanoid size. So that's very different. Something else to contend with entirely.
The colonies of creatures and like what would essentially be like the white blood cells of a Tarrasc.
Oh,
man.
It beats the fuck out of fighting a yeast infection inside the Tarrasc. Nah, shit, that's still hilarious. A Vagisaladin.
Oh man. It's terrible.
The paladin's a gynecologist.
Oh jeez, it's so bad. Die, you vile beast.
You shall not desecrate this womb. Okay. We do have one other piece of news before we fall off the cliff here. Because damn, if I allowed myself, I could joke on this all night.
Oh, I could riff on it all night. It's interesting.
It's something else. But yeah, Rebel Moon tabletop from Evil Genius Games. The studio has been canceled by Zach's. Kind of. Let me just read this right and align my words in my head. Yeah, I'm just a little retarded. So, oh yeah, it's okay. I can use that word. That's our word.
Can you?
It's a well-known fact. I have problems.
It's okay. Continue.
Anyway, the tabletop studio behind a canceled RPG for Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon has reached an amicable settlement with Netflix after a legal dispute. The disagreement arose when Netflix accused the studio of breaching a confidentiality agreement at the GAMA trade show in 2023. The tabletop maker, known for adapting action films like Pacific Rim and Kong Skull Island, has impressed Netflix and Snyder with its plans for an expansive RPG set in the Rebel Moon universe. However, the lawsuit led to an abrupt halt of the tabletop RPG project. The parties have now settled with Evil Genius Games. They will issue pre-order refunds to retailers in the coming days. Although a Rebel Moon game will not be released, both parties express gratitude for the collaboration, hinting at future cinematic adventures and sci-fi projects.
Interesting.
The resolution concludes a perplexing chain of events that began with the high hopes for a tabletop RPG complementing Snyder's film. Dry throat, damn. But yeah, they got canceled. That sucks.
That's unfortunate. I mean, I don't personally care much for like Rebel Moon stuff, but it always sucks to see people get shut down. Or
I got my drink.
I just don't. I don't know much about the franchise, to be honest. But that's
relatively new. Man. I think it's like supposed to be like Star Wars, but like Zack Snyder's like, hey, I'm making my own.
Zack Snyder was the one that did like that Man of Steel.
Yeah, he did a bunch of the DC movies.
Right.
Like Justice League.
Like that 4-hour like Justice League or whatever it was.
Oh, right.
Like the Snyder cut or whatever.
Yeah.
They have
like the end all be all.
They have like 4 different versions of Justice League. And one of them is just like it's Justice League, but black and white. Then we have Zack Snyder's Justice League director cut. And then Zack Snyder's Justice League director's cut, but black and white. like dude,
each one is longer
you think you're showing this off at some kind of art show? You're gonna
right? Yeah, he's going to Cannes with it. Like, guys, calm down.
It's like, dude, you're not going to a film festival. This is a bunch of nerds. Just give us the goods and call it a day.
Oh man, yeah. Like, I'm sorry, but no. If you're going 4 hours with something, man, like unless it's Lord of the Rings, that needs to be 2 movies. I don't know. I'm just getting old.
I think it's just one of those things where we are so ingrained and just stuck in putting all our plot into just like 2-hour movies.
Yeah.
And I don't like movies anymore. I really don't. I'm at a point in my life where I don't like movies. And it's just like, if I want DC, give me a show that works. Don't give me live action. Just give me an animated show and go all in on it. There's so much you can do in an animated show you cannot do with live action people.
100%.
You don't even have to worry about the casting. You can I
don't know if you guys remember Spawn on HBO? Like that was sick. That was so dope, man. I was like, this is like, that's what we need.
It was amazing.
Right? Like, let's get some McFarlanes, some good at like
these powers
animators. Get this done.
Yeah, their animated shows are always really good.
Yeah, like even the 90s X-Men, even with all the weird stuff they had to work around, it was still amazing.
Yeah. I'm just saying, there's tons of comics, tons of storylines out there. Just take the studio, have the animators go all in. Hell, hire out some of those foreign animation studios that do like really good anime, because they do amazing scenes.
The
like
ones that do like the Chinese and the Korean animations.
Oh yeah, they go wild on that stuff.
They would go crazy.
And the thing is, like, if you let the writing team just like, hey, here's the original stuff, touch it up, write it a little bit better. We know there's some shaky writing in here, so just touch it up and no holds barred. Show people how dark, how gritty, how fun DC can really be. Because
well, and that's what made the animated Batman so good, in my opinion, was that like it was, it wasn't as dark as I'd like it, but it was getting there. And I'm like, this is showing that there's potential here. We need to explore this a lot more.
Yeah, like I think some of the best DC movies I've seen were the ones with Constantine, the animated ones with Constantine in them. Those went really hard.
I never saw those.
Oh, dude, you definitely should.
I saw one of them.
There's like 3 or 4 of them, and one of them is I think he was in Flashpoint. Then there was this whole apocalypse thing, and then they had like 2 standalone movies for Constantine. and like it's all dark as fuck, all this gritty DC stuff happening, and characters getting ripped apart, and like you're getting all these crossovers, all these characters from all over the place. And one of the fun things about DC is be like, oh shit, that character showed up, I know that guy, and it'll be like some obscure dude.
Right.
Like, holy shit, they brought in Deadman. I haven't seen him in ages.
Dude, that's how I felt with like Moon Knight. I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Like, dude, all I knew about Moon Knight up until seeing that was like he showed up in 1 or 2 episodes of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man's like, yo, hey, Moon Knight, is it? Like, what's your deal? And
he's like blessed by Khonshu.
And at that point, they really downplayed the fact that he had multiple personalities going on.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that's kind of a shame.
A little bit like Deadpool in the way that he's can kind of break the fourth wall too.
Mm.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 people in that head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like Mark, the Khonshu Avatar, or whatever, and then Khonshu, I think.
No, there's like a 3rd dude.
Is there? I don't know. I haven't finished the show, but I know it was really good. I don't have Disney Plus anywhere.
I think DC is at its best when they're doing an animated series, because that's something that Marvel they can't do because they never stick with it long enough. Like, I enjoy all the animated Spider-Man shows, but they never stick around past a certain point. And I hate it because, like, I want to see Peter Parker get out of high school and then be adult Spider-Man. Like,
thank you. Right? Yeah. I'm tired of seeing his origin story 1,000 times over. I get it.
Exactly.
I get it. Let's see him as an adult. Exactly. I 100%.
It's just like, I want to know what's going on with Parker Industries. Like, how did that happen? You know, that's in the comics, but I ain't never seen no show get that far into Spider-Man. I want to know, like, what's going on. Like, we know he's got multiple love interests, but the only love interest you ever see in an animated show is the one that they've committed to. Unless it's like the 90s one, in which case, like, they kind of like messed around with Felicia Hardy a little bit, like maybe talked about Gwen, but like,
that's right.
They didn't really, like, they committed to Mary Jane, but like, dude, in any other show, they only ever commit to the one.
That's kind of like been my thing too. I love when shows like Flashpoint, for example. I think it's a great example of when things are like they show the real dark and the real truth of like what that life is like. And like Invincible, for example, is a really good show that I think kind of depicts it well.
It's just weird to me because everyone credits Invincible with being this paragon of, oh, what if DC was gritty? But it already was that. You're just not showing it.
Yeah, they're just not showing it the way that they could have. You know, I like when things aren't like they should be as adult and as like true as they can be.
Yeah, they're missing their audience that way.
Like Power Rangers or something, or like Digimon or like Pokemon, like that.
The Power Rangers comics apparently get real dark and shit, and I'm just like, I'm about that. You know,
see, that's kind of cool. I'd like to see that.
Yeah,
you know? I don't like the Power Rangers, but like if it's getting all dark and shit, I'm down.
Yeah, because like there's a lot to explore there. I mean, at its base, Power Rangers, like, they would have relationships and they'd have like, oh, there's that double life aspect going on, but how would that like realistically impact a person, you know?
Yeah. Well, like, just think of like, and this is, I know it's been explored 1,000 times, but you know, you're sitting there defeating whatever monster of the week in this town, right? And you're destroying all these buildings and shit. It's like eventually you'll be like, man, I've killed like 50,000 people. You know, eventually it's going to take a toll on you, man. Like, you know, because I'm fighting some monster of the week.
And imagine, like, it's been covered 1,000 times, but having to blow off your friends, families, and lovers just to be able to save all these people and not say a word about it. Because you know damn well Lord Zed's gonna jump down and be like, yo, you fucking this bitch? Not anymore.
No, 100%, right? And how many, as DMs, how many times do we do that? We take a player's backstory, and we take someone from their family, and we kidnap them, we kill them, we do something to them to get them pissed. Right?
Absolutely.
It's classic.
That's what I love to do as a DM, because it's just like
100%.
Anything in your backstory can and will be used against you.
Yeah, exactly, right. And I love it's probably my favorite part of D&D is like sitting down with the character and be like, let's figure out your backstory. Let's sit down and like let's really figure out what makes them tick, you know. And
what do you care about?
Yeah, exactly. What do you care about? What don't you like? Do you have a nemesis? Cool. Why are they your nemesis? You know what I mean? Like, what do you have family? Are they still alive? You know, things like that. Like even asking questions like, "What's your perfect day look like?" You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, or ask them what their birthday is. You know, and it makes them think. You know, it's like, what's your birthday? I don't know. I never thought about it.
You know, for some players that works really well, because like some people are really into astrology. So it's like, oh shit, I need to be playing my character more like a Pisces. You know, that's the secret alignment chart.
Yeah. No, that's interesting though, right? Because that would be like an alignment chart. That's really cool. I never made that connection. That's cool.
I would say that alignment, if you were to use a zodiac alignment chart in D&D, that could put more that'd put a lot more on what your class, what you could do for blessings and stuff. Like each birthday that's an extra level of customization for your player. Like, because different zodiac signs have different aspects that go with them. So maybe assign like each a zodiac sign a specific skill, and then each zodiac by its base is already going to have an element associated with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that would explain why, you know, some mages are more attuned to a certain element, you know, or they perform better, you know, or more
like that.
To,
That's cool.
To learn and be able to control, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, how many damage types are there? You know,
there's like 9 or 12, something like that.
I mean,
so it's close to that number.
Yeah. So imagine like, okay, you're born under this star. That means that this damage type, anytime you take that damage, you're taking 1 less. Oh, anytime you deal that kind of damage, 1 more. That's a very minor buff, but that's big.
But that's cool. That's really cool.
I wonder if that's not a thing already.
It's gonna be. I like that.
Interesting. That's really cool. And you can take it further, right? Like you really play with that as someone's arc, you know, where they start with, you know, their water element. You start with shape water, right? But then as you later on you start like water bending and shit, right? And you start learning these extra spells or extra damage, like you were saying, you know, as you kind of level up. And I'm always a big fan of things that kind of level up with the character, start off small, and then kind of build it up and make it part of their story, whatever that is.
I love that too, because I love when things like slowly start to shine through as an aspect of the character. And like maybe one day they're like, you gain, you know, a feat, and it's like Boone the Capricorn or something.
Ooh, I like that. See? And it would have to be something on brand for whatever that sign is.
Like after a fight or something.
I mean, maybe just like, oh, you are born under the sign of the Gemini. And like once you hit level 5, you get like a rudimentary form of invoke duplicity.
Oh yeah, exactly. Mirror image.
Yeah,
man. Yeah. Ram, like Aries Ram, you get like the Ring of Ram ability for once a day or something.
Yeah,
so like a boost to your movement speed or something.
Or yeah.
I like
have some
that.
fun with that.
And the thing is,
Scorpion, it could be like a Scorpio with like some kind of poison or something, or sting or something, like even like a tattoo that comes off. I don't know. Sweet.
It's a great way to make magic more commonplace in a more magic setting, because at that point it's ingrained into everyone, even the non-magic users.
So many stories have stuff like that where they're like, what month were you born in? And like, you know, you have like this like class system, you know, kind of like
like Hunger Games shit.
I don't remember what it's really called, but like it would be like people who were born in like February have an attunement for like water, stuff like that.
Ooh.
And then it'll be like,
and take it even further, maybe, because like depending on what part you're in the hemisphere, right, would determine whether it's a winter sign or a summer sign, right? So you could really fuck with that too, right?
Like
Oh, absolutely.
Or something.
Mixing the two together. Oh shit.
Oh, cool.
Oh, being born on a cusp, you could get like one, like you get to choose between the two aspects that you could possibly get.
If you're
That's
like
cool.
Earth sign and you're like on the cusp of like a fire sign, maybe you have a attunement to like magma or something.
Right? Well, that'd be really cool.
Or like there's always that the mysterious 13th sign. So maybe like, oh, this person's born under a cursed star.
Oh, I like that. The cursed star. Yes.
It may be like your abilities are like abnormal. And they're like, wait a minute, you're not getting the normal stuff.
Yeah. So like
it could be like something as like a leap year kind of thing, right? Where like it's just bad news. You're like,
that'd probably be like an omen type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like either a good omen or a bad omen, however you want to go about it. Because there's leap years and then there's the 13th sign.
I never heard of this 13th sign.
Oh yeah. We talked about it a while ago.
Yeah, you see, if you did a proper calendar in D&D, they refer to it as a 10-day. So each
Ophiuchus.
Yeah, that's what they refer to that as. I don't remember correctly if it's precisely a 12-month year in D&D, but I've seen an argument for each month having 28 days. Because if you have 28 days, I guess the theory is that it comes out to a full 13 months to match the 13 signs.
So check this out.
So you wouldn't even have a blue moon because the blue moon is the 13th moon of the year.
Yeah, so Ophiuchus or whatever is a large constellation on the celestial equator between Scorpius and Sagittarius. Its symbolism is the serpent bearer, which is like that staff with the serpent.
Oh, like the medical symbol. Cool.
The caduceus.
Yeah, the caduceus. So it's kind of like that, I guess, and it's representative of like a serpent. So like,
oh, that sounds sinister.
Maybe they awaken and they're like Harry Potter, maybe they're speaking to snakes. And they're like, that's weird. Like they're like, why are you doing that? Like,
shit.
That's good. Maybe they're born with like some scales or something, or something reptilian. Like they lose a tail and it grows back or something because they're under the. I don't know. You really have fun with that.
There's lots of languages
in eyes
there's lots of languages and damage types. So I could easily see you throw an extra language onto each sign.
Ooh. That's cool.
Maybe just like at the start of a campaign, just have everyone roll for their birthday.
Dude, I kind of
make it random. I like that.
We should work on making this a homebrew thing.
Ooh, slap that on the Patreon. Yeah. I'd put it on there, but I'd also make it free just because I like this idea.
It's so cool, man.
We should develop this a little bit more.
Yeah, it needs some fleshing out for sure, but I think the idea is there. That's like really cool. It'd be a lot of fun.
That's one of the fun things about doing the show. Coming up with ideas on the spot. It's like, oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I bet someone's done something similar.
I'm sure. Like I'm sure that everything's pretty much been done, right? Or some variation of it, but
that's what people say. But sometimes you can just do it better.
Well, that's just it, right? And there's nothing wrong with doing something better, in my opinion. I'm like, look, took this idea, we ran with it and made it better, and or at least we think it's better.
Good enough.
Right?
Dude, I bet there's somebody out there who's like, oh man, I wish this like existed.
Yeah, well, I mean, astrology's like, I'm not big into it, but a lot of people are, right? So I could totally see players jumping into that shit for sure.
Yeah, and having it be 13 based off of the 28-day month, like that gives you an entire system.
Well, it's funny because I've got in my world, I've got a calendar system, right? It's 360 days, 12 months, 30 days each. Just keep it simple. But I never thought of adding signs to it. Now I'm like, fuck, maybe I need to start looking into that. That's
Wave the Zodiac subclass.
Yeah, I highly recommend.
Oh, Zodiac subclass would be crazy. That's a good idea as well.
Yeah,
I don't see anything.
And then there's the Chinese Zodiac. So like, if you wanted to double up.
Ooh,
because the Chinese Zodiac has 5 elements,
right?
Oh man.
Like another nation's version of that, right? Like in your
Yeah.
world or whatever,
Ooh.
or continent or something.
Yeah, so it's
Maybe
like
a continent of, like,
similar but
sorcery.
different set of buffs. That's like
Ooh,
on a
I
year
like
basis,
it.
not a month basis.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dude, I love that.
It's pretty good.
It'd be interesting to
Here's
see
a
how
rat
like you
or
could go
whatever.
like an entire campaign,
out
like
there.
not
Get
even
rid of
use
it.
the aspects you get from that, then like close to the end, somehow that saves you.
Yeah. Oh man. So I love it when stuff like that happens. Like, yes.
Like imagine like that reduced HP damage keeps you one away from being
Right,
knocked
just
out.
one away from TPK or whatever.
And it would be that difference. A lot of parties are straight up in the mindset of the only health point that matters is the last one.
It's true. Which I don't know if I necessarily believe in that mentality, but it's a big one out there.
It is.
Yeah, like there's no point in healing. Do more damage. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
If they're dead.
Well, that's yeah. Right.
I personally like. I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate. It's been no secret on this show. I love the idea of throwing a potion at somebody as an attack action and having it break on them and heal them a little bit.
That's pretty dope. And I don't think this is like groundbreaking. I think most people do this, but at least in my games, bonus action, you can use a bonus action to take a potion, but you got to roll for it. If you use an action, you get the full amount, right? So it's kind of a strategic thing where, it's like, oh, okay, cool. I could do a bonus action, roll for it. It might be good, might be bad. And then if I want to take my full action, you get that full amount. So you get that superior, bonus action, which can be good or bad, right?
I like that. At the very least, it's just like, okay, that adds weight to the decision of doing that.
Exactly.
And I like the weight of decisions for players.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why I've started, at least on Roll20 anyways, I've been hiding death saves. I do them myself. So that way players don't know, oh, you had 2 saves. I don't need to worry about you. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing where it's like death no longer means anything when people are gaming it that way. So when I'm the only one that knows death saves, all of a sudden everyone's healing everyone.
Yeah.
And it makes it a little more terrifying, to be honest, which is good.
I do like the mystery of that because it's one of those things where I like to feel like the party actually cares enough about each other when they see someone go down. There's like, no, this person.
Exactly. That's so and so, my best friend, my brother, whatever. Doesn't matter. Instead of just oh, we're cool. You got 3 saves. You're fine.
And like, if you have a brutal enemy that starts just going after people that are down, like wanting to secure their kills because, if the enemy operates by Zombieland rules, like don't be afraid to double tap. That's some dangerous stuff.
Yeah. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of my big bosses do that, right? Like they're smart. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah. Like I could see bandits not doing it. Like maybe they don't know any better, but mercenaries give 0 fucks. They like to confirm their kills.
They're there to get them kills.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They're hired to do a job. They're going to make sure it's done.
I think that if you're going to do that though, it might be good to telegraph it to the players a little bit.
Oh, 100%. That's a session 0 shit right there. Like you're gonna be like, yo, this is, this happens sometimes.
I think I would kind of like set the scene a little bit. Like maybe they see an ambush happen on up ahead of them, and then like this person like gets knocked out initially, and then now that they're on the ground, like blade straight through the skull to just kind of set the precedent that although that person was on the ground, not a threat, they did not care. Like you could even be like, oh, you come up upon these people and there's like a bunch of people all dead on the ground, and then there's just one guy going around each skull. Pop. Pop. Pop.
Yeah. Exactly. Cleanup crew, right? That's terrifying.
That's the mood.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That's the great thing, and maybe as a DM, it's one of those things that we maybe use too much. But I feel that using NPCs as a telegraphing tool is one of my favorites. Like using a beloved NPC, all of a sudden, gets their brain taken out by an intellect devourer, and like, oh crap, we need to take these things seriously. But he just got his brain taken over. For sure. I love doing that.
I love when fights get that mood shift of like, oh god, okay, no fucking around. Like, really
especially when they go in a little cocky, right? They're like, oh, I'm full, and we got potions, we're good to go. And halfway through, they're like, oh no.
A little bit.
I got my baby right here.
I always just love when like
hello.
Do their damage. They're like, okay, cool, we got good numbers. They get hit. They're like, oh.
Yeah. You get that big hit. They're like, oh, that breath attack was brutal.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of leads me into you're a professional DM. Like, what advice would you offer to someone that's like trying to, DM at that level?
Oh man, I think the biggest thing is, especially with I guess paid DMing, is it's not necessarily your game anymore, right? That's the biggest thing is that like you even if it's a homebrew, yes, it's your game, but it's not your game, right? So if the players want a particular style, right? Try to give that to them. At the same time, if you're not a DM that loves running dungeon crawls, don't run dungeon crawls, right? But be prepared that if you're a little more on the role playing side, but your players are more on the combat side, well, switch it up a little bit. Try to cater to them and remember that it's about them more than it is about you.
Definitely can't be afraid to be flexible, right? Yeah,
be flexible. And ego, man, like I know it's hard, but like I think we all fall to it once in a while, but like your ego needs to stay at the door. This it goes back to that. This isn't about, it's not your game. It's they're paying you to run a specific scenario, a specific thing, whatever. They want something to come out of it. So, you have to give that to them. Now, it doesn't mean that just because they're paying you that you're going to give them all this magical shit and not giving a challenge to them, for sure. Right. But, you got to, you don't want to sit there and TPK them on the first night, right? That's not, it's not great.
Bad for business, one might say.
It's bad for, exactly, right? So I think one of my biggest things is just to kind of remember that, this isn't your home game, right? Like this isn't the place to experiment. This isn't the place to try new scenarios. Be sure that you know what you're running, right? If it's your own stuff, cool. Make sure you know it. If you're running, Fandelver, that's great. That's awesome. Just make sure you know it. And because you're going to be running it over and over again, to be quite honest. So, get good at it. Make sure you know what is coming up so that when the players do decide to go off the rails, and they will, you can adapt very quickly without them knowing, hopefully, at all behind the scenes, because this outcome, this scenario, whatever, you've run it a million times, and you're able to improv. That's the biggest thing, right? Is know it enough to be able to improv.
Yeah, it makes sense. Definitely.
I don't know. I guess those are kind of my big ones. Don't worry about knowing all the rules either, right? Like there's a lot of rules.
So I'm very curious. Like, what is it like DMing, especially for like strangers? For those kind of people. What is that like?
It's a little weird at first. And that's what Session Zero is great for, right? Session Zero in Discord, we sit down and
we always say, do Session Zero.
Session Zero is so important. And if you need 2 or 3 of them, get 2 or 3 of them. That's totally cool. Session Zeros are a great place to lay down the rules, lay down the expectations from everybody. Try and be like, hey, this is going to be a grimdark campaign. Here are the things, to expect. This is going to be a high magic. Here are the things to expect with that. Here are my homebrew rules. I do counterspell differently. Here are my rules for it. And try to remember, you're probably going to forget something, right? Because there's so many things, but, and the biggest thing is, if something new comes up that you forgot to mention in Session Zero or whatever, be like, hey guys, this is how I handle it. Stop the game for a second. This is how I handle it. Any questions? Cool. and then we move on. If people don't like it, then that's fine. You know, we whatever. But that's kind of how I like to handle that. So it's not a surprise to people, right? So they're not like, no, actually that misses because of that one rule that I didn't tell you about, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that's not fun, right? And it happens a lot more than it should.
Yeah.
Those are kind of my big ones, man. Remember that you're there to entertain people with a story, and D&D happens to be the tool you're using to make that happen. You don't have to be good at voices, but you got to at least be able to run the game, good pacing,
Right.
and read the players, right?
Yeah, definitely be able to like read the players, read the room.
Yeah.
Read the room. And
It's absolutely necessary. Like, that's one of the
really
reasons
is.
that the prerequisite I made for the campaign that we just started, after so many campaigns that we've been in online, I'm like, no, non-negotiable. I want cameras in this campaign so that I can read you people.
Yes. Cameras make a massive difference online. It not always, but I would say 90% of the time, my best role-playing games are the ones that everyone's got cameras on. And, you know, we can all see what everyone's doing. We can all participate in the highs and lows of what's happening. Because as much as I love playing online, nothing beats in person, right?
Absolutely.
And Roll20 has made it infinitely easier, at least for the DMs, and other tools to run things online. But you still lose some of that magic.
Yeah.
Another thing to get back to the whole new players thing, I have one-on-ones with all my players, or two players if they know each other, according to the backstory. So after a session 0, after we've got the rules and we've kind of figured out, they have an idea of, you know, who they want to be, whether it be with Homebrew or whatever. And then I'll sit down with them. I'll give them a couple questions at the end of session 0, be like, think of these things, and then we'll meet up again. And then I go through a whole thing with them. I'm like, all right, cool. So tell me about your character. Give me your backstory that you have. And then I'll start asking questions based on that. If you start telling me that you've got family, you'll be like, all right, cool. Do you have a mom and dad? Do you have sisters? Are they still alive? What happened to them? You know, what city are you from? What nation are you from? How long have you stayed there? Is it, you know, did you stay there your whole life? Cool. Well, then who do you think you would be best friends with? You know, would you be into blacksmithing or whatever? Would you like apprentice under somebody else, or whatever the case may be? Really try and ask these questions to these players. And that makes them more comfortable with you. It makes them more comfortable with their players. So when they do start role playing, they get that a little bit. And the first sessions are always weird and awkward to begin with, right? But that having that kind of really deep one-on-one with these people really, really helps. I find with role playing and just getting comfortable with everyone. And not everyone is good at that stuff, and that's totally cool. And that's where you know, I've got a set of rules, I've got a set of questions and kind of things that I can really kind of prod at. And if they don't know, that's totally cool. We move on, they think about it. And if they don't have anything, I'll make it up and then I'll let them know. You know, and that's okay too, because you're not going to have some players that just don't get super into the backstory, and that's okay. You know, not everyone wants that. Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question. Kind of went on a rant there, but
No, that actually answers a lot of questions before even needing to be asked. Really
great, good. It's yeah. I don't know, man. It's D&D or DMing is I think it's a skill that people are afraid of, and I get it, but it's not as crazy or complex as people make it out to be.
Yeah, honestly, like it sounds like a lot, but once you get into it, it's really just like playing anything else.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like, I mean, obviously, I don't recommend you've never DM'd to go start paying, like go paid games, obviously, right? But you know, I've been doing this for 20 years, right? Like, I've been doing this for a long time, and 10 pretty hardcore. And you know, it's I've only started feeling comfortable in the last couple of years. Where I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can make a little bit of money doing this. And you know, trying to it's that confidence, right?
Yeah.
Of just like confidence in your skills of you know, I could do this. It's not as hard as people think, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely practice your friends, though.
Well, at that point, it almost seems like your home games it's like a focus group.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and it's funny because in my world, I've been, it's one of 7 ages, right? And I've been working on this age for about 3 years now, but I've got 2 groups that have been playing in it for the last 3 years. Right. So they're always testing and moving things along and a lot of times kind of directing how I'm planning my world. Right. So that when I did start playing for money and things, everything was already done. Everything's planned out. All my maps are done. Everything is done. All the NPCs are done because my players played in it 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So having those people to really trust and pull on, be like, that worked, that didn't work. That's a really good kind of thing to have, that back and forth with your players, because you might think something worked and it didn't, or vice versa.
Yeah, like you're getting all that good feedback to optimize your process. And it seems like one of the things that makes being a paid DM work really well is it not just being you alone. You have the backing of your previous players that have played the games that you've run. So all that stuff, you not only do you know it, you have all the feedback to optimize it.
That's exactly it. And you've probably seen every scenario or a good chunk of scenarios that could ever happen in those, areas, which makes you more prepared, which is really easier to improv at that point, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is good advice or not, but I've always been a firm believer in building your own world so that it's easier to remember. And it's easier to like improv on. However, that's not necessarily always the case or true. But I don't know. I've never been a big module runner. I find that's nothing against them, and they're fantastic. They're not my style, right? I'd rather just
I hear that from a lot of DMs, and like in my case, I've taken to running a One Piece campaign. So it's like that is a IP that I know very well. I've been watching One Piece since it was a Saturday morning 4Kids thing as a kid. So it's like I know One Piece well enough to be able to run that, and like you said, know what you're running. And as a DM, like I'm good at making stuff up on the fly. So as it stands, I put my players in a place that's not well documented as far as canon goes. And then by the time they get into canon things, I can start tying stuff together.
Exactly. That's that's the biggest thing, man. I think that's the biggest secret, honestly, is just knowing enough to improv properly, which I know is kind of vague, but if you know enough of your world or whatever you're running, you're going to be able to make up stuff that you can tie in later that makes sense. You don't have to go crazy to be like, how does this work? How can I, web this or weave this web of craziness, right?
I feel like one thing we take a lot of pride in here is our, wide array of valuable and non-valuable knowledge on non-specific topics.
Approximate
knowledge of many things. Yes.
Many things. Yeah, exactly. The jack of everything, master of none.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If people come here for anything, it's to learn stuff.
Right? And I don't know. I find that as much as I love Critical Role and all of these Dimension 20 and all these things, I absolutely love them, and it's improved my game, it's improved millions of people's games. However, I also find that whole like everyone feels that they have to be voice actors. It's like you don't even need to put on voices, right? If you're good at it, great, awesome, but you can narrate what happens without a voice. That's okay. It's still going to be a good game.
Absolutely. Like I find that my all-time favorite D&D actual play stream, well, I didn't watch it as it was a stream, but it was all like a recorded podcast episodes. It would be Tabletop Escapades, which it was very well formatted. Like all the people were just regular players, and it was my introduction to the genre, so maybe I'm a little biased there, but it was 4 players, just a regular DM. They're doing their things. They're having their normal conversations. And some did voices. others didn't. It was a healthy mix. And more importantly, unlike these larger things like Dimension 20 and Critical Role, like I feel like they get bogged down with just having too many voices in this. Like they got too much going on all at once. So it's like, okay, cool. You have 7 or 8 players. As a listener, that's a lot to keep track of, you know? Like, especially if you're just jumping right into it. As opposed to like, you got 4 people plus DM, good to go. That's pretty simple, straightforward.
Honestly, true.
Well, that's another thing actually for the paid part is my rule is I don't go more than 6 players because even though I can handle 8s, it's not fair, right? Anything after 6, turns take too long. It's like a 4-hour session. When it really breaks down, people only play like 30 minutes, right? When you start getting 8 players, when it's your friends, that's fine. But when they're paying for it, you got to be constant that everyone gets a decent amount of spotlight, right?
Right.
So anything more than 6, I find is I don't think it's fair.
Yeah.
It's hard to manage. You see even, big studio like Critical Role struggle with that many players.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 4 like 5 is ideal in my book, right? However, that 6 player. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I think currently like they're at like what 6 or 7. That's kind of a lot.
7, yeah. And well, they had that crazy like crossover too, where they had like 10.
Oh my god!
Because they split the party, right? Like for a while, they had like that 10. There was like 10 or 11 people. It was crazy.
That's just too much.
It's too much, man.
I couldn't possibly not online. In person, I could probably handle an in person. The most I've ever handled on in person was like 8 people. But that was for a one shot, and half the players there were new to tabletops altogether, and I don't know how they managed it, but they did PvP without ruining it.
Whoa, that's hard to do.
2 of them being the new players, which is just like,
that's cool.
It was incredible to see, because first off, being able to not ruin everything with PvP that you're not used to with a group that you've never met. This is your first time playing. Like, usually that results in your traditional D&D horror story.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does.
Because
it's rare.
We had the PvP segment in the One Piece game.
Yeah, session 1, y'all go right into PvP. And that's actually another example because Josh, that is his first D&D session. And he went right into PvP with you.
Oh. Yeah, it was so cool. It was such a look around and find out. Like, but I respect the energy vibe. Like,
love it. And again, that goes back to session 0, right? Like, that's something you touch on. Like, do we do PvP? Yes or no?
Oh, we didn't discuss it whatsoever.
Right. But like for paid games, you got to do that, right? You have to have that conversation because if you don't, they don't see you
like trying to check each other.
Yeah. And that's not a fun experience. Well, maybe it is for some, but yeah,
it creates an odd dynamic, I feel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like PvP should be consensual. Like, as a lot of people say, when you want to have a good experience at your table, it does require collaboration. This is a collaborative storytelling game at its heart. So the heart of collaboration is consent to collaborate. And if you got 2 people working against each other, that's not going to work.
Yeah. It also becomes tricky when you have a PvP situation. It creates a fine line of like, okay, I'm probably stronger than you. And then it's like, they're like, well, why are you stronger than It creates a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're going to have to understand that like there's a lot of things to consider. Where it's like in some cases in a straight up fight, yeah, maybe they are, but it doesn't make you necessarily like a weaker character,
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like, okay, cool, your AC is 21, but let's see you dodge a fireball, right?
Yeah,
there's aspects that every character should be able to like feel like they can shine in. I feel.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the biggest thing, right? Make sure everyone's got a shining moment, if possible.
Yeah,
right?
That kind of goes back to my classic reference for that. The hero time, like they used to do in Shrek 2. Because in the Shrek 2 video game, they always made sure to give each character something that only that character can do. This is their time to shine, hero time. Maybe Fiona's charming some birds with her voice. Maybe Donkey is the only one that can go and donkey kick this thing. Maybe the agility of Puss in Boots is enough to get through this thing. Now, each character of this is very much like that of your classic 5-man band, which really makes for a good party in classic D&D. Like the 5-man band is a trope for a reason, which is why the 4 to 5 players is the sweet spot of D&D.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. Especially with 5e and its weird CR system, which I feel really bad for new DMs that have to deal with that garbage. It's that the game was made for 4 players, so we got to keep that in mind, right? So if we're going to 8, you've got a lot of work in the DM in the back end to work on monsters, right? Like your monsters, you're not going to be, what my biggest thing with CR is if you want it to be a challenge, at least match their action economy. So if they could hit 10 times, your monster needs to hit 10 times, right?
Yeah.
Whether through legendary actions or whatever, regional effects, whatever, but that's work, right? You got to sit there and figure that out. You got to, go in Cobalt, Fight Club or whatever, or sit down and actually play it out and be like, all right, I've done that numerous times where I'm like, I'm going to do 5 sessions really quick, or like 5 rounds of a combat. Maybe my math is wrong. And a lot of times I do it. I'm like, oof, that was too powerful or not powerful enough.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but it takes time. You have to keep that in mind that the game was made for 4 people and for 6 to 8 encounters per day, which nobody ever plays. Let's be honest, unless you're running a huge dungeon.
Yeah. It's really tricky to hit that. But one of the things I do is I like to count non-combat encounters in that. So 100%. Because you absolutely have to. Because anything that can drain your party's resources, absolutely a thing. With our current game, they haven't had a long rest yet within the first few sessions. And I'd say you guys have had, 4 encounters, maybe 5 at most? That seems about...
we just finished pretty much like one long fight. Right?
Yeah, that combat encounter was one thing, and you're going into another situation that branches off of that combat encounter, and then you had like a couple encounters in the marketplace dealing with situations.
Oh yeah, like personable encounter. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then you factor in you guys decided to fight each other, so y'all created your own encounter right there.
That was true.
Yeah. I mean, you're using charm person, you're using, command, all these little things. It costs stuff, right? So
exactly.
Even just interacting with NPCs.
You guys solving the situation with, half the marketplace is on fire. We got to go deal with it. That is an encounter. Oh, these people are arguing. There needs to be a solution here. That 100% encounter right there. And as you guys were going through all of those things, expending resources and handling all of that, even though it's not combat, I like to award XP for that.
I like to imagine that each character, has emotional resources just like people do, right? They got the mental spoons to deal with the throughout the day.
That's good.
I like the term mental spoons.
Yeah. It's easy to think about those things when you give them like a physical idea, right? You have 5 spoons throughout the day. You do some stuff, Take one away. You're not feeling so hot. Maybe you just need some time by yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting.
That kind of deal. So I like to imagine that characters have something like that as well. Dealing with that social situation might have been very stressful. Then you're in a fight for a long time. That weighs on you.
Yeah.
Not just physically, but also emotionally.
That's just it. And I do that sometimes more often with monks than other because they need a little bit of help. But I do that with monks where, if they want to meditate on their day of fighting or whatever, right? I'll be like, all right, cool. Roll a wisdom save. And then based on how hard that was and what level they are, I got a DC in my mind. And then if they meet or beat that, then they get an extra D4 or maybe a D6, depending on the level of key points that day. right, the next day, because they spent time kind of refreshing and having that mental going, replaying that event in their mind. They're able to kind of like, how can I learn from this? And to me, that they need the extra key points to begin with. So this is a fun way for them to kind of get that.
Yeah. I like that idea of mentally unpacking to kind of compartmentalize that into key points.
Yeah.
That'd be a really good idea. I like that too. I can even see that going deeper and translating into like sorcery points.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I do that a lot with paladins and clerics, and especially those that deal with the gods and stuff, right? It's like if you're interacting with your god a lot, and I'm gonna play with that. I'm gonna make sure that I lean into that, right?
Yeah, maybe get like a channel divinity back.
Exactly, right? Especially if you're doing it like every day and someone's role playing every day and they're like, I wake up, I do my morning prayer. I'm like, all right, cool. What does that look like? Roll a quick religion check at advantage or whatever. And then based on that, you can kind of role play and be like, you know what? If it's really high and really good, have them actually talk to the god, right? Yeah. And then if not, then have them see a symbol, right? Of something like a dolphin jumping out of the water, and it looked like the icon of whoever. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. They were listening. Little things like that to kind of push the player into kind of role playing that aspect a little bit, to kind of explore it, and you get to explore it too and make up some really cool shit for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like one of the things that I've benefited from so far in the current campaign is it was homebrewed together by a group of people, and they added this feature called Pirate Prestige for the One Piece D&D. And with Pirate Prestige, it functions similarly to Classic Inspiration, but you can spend your Pirate Prestige on things like being able to get help with getting to a quest objective, being able to better do a task that you specialize in, like say the lookout, the navigator, the helmsman. These are all roles within the crew, so you can spend it. You can spend it for a special thing exclusive to that role.
Right. Like for example, my character, I am a merchant chef, so my pirate prestige is to create like a high class feast that gives temporary HP.
Right. That's funny because in my campaign, Vermilion Isles is super heavy nautical, right? And I've got kind of new jobs, and we've got things from like captain, first mate, quartermaster, helms, ship's doctor, ship's mage, cook, right? And they all do slightly different things, right? Like if I look at the first mate, for example, prerequisites must have a 13 or above in charisma. You gain proficiency with investigation for rumors. The first mates and non-officers, things like that. You have proficiency with skills. If you already have proficiency in the skills, are an expertise in it. And I have non-combat and combat actions that they could do on the ship.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And that's fun. That adds another level to the ship, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I did with this Pirate Prestige is I was already developing my own homebrew system that was more combat based to kind of incentivize players to have more teamwork. So it's like, okay, well, if Pirate Prestige stacks, I can give these players another way to spend it by like, oh, you want to do a team attack? That's cool. So with the Pirate Prestige, basically at its base, each player will roll percentile, and whatever number they get, the closer those numbers are, the bigger the bonuses they're going to get if their attacks hit for the team attack. So it's like, if you get it within like so many numbers of each other, like maybe within like 15 of the initial rolls that the players get, okay, that's going to be a critical. Oh, that you're going to add this damage die to whatever maneuver your harebrained scheme is turning into. And if you manage to get it exactly on the dot, boom, max damage plus all these other benefits that you would have gotten before. And then so on and so forth. And the Pirate Prestige, you can roll a d20, then subtract what you roll in the difference between the numbers that they rolled initially. So
Gotcha.
Yeah, so say one player has a 20 and the other has a 70. Okay, I want to spend Pirate Prestige to bring these numbers closer. Okay, 16. That brings it a little bit closer. The other player has a Pirate Prestige. I want to spend that to bring it closer. Okay, that's 11. that comes a little bit closer. So now, as they're spending prestige, they're getting more and more benefits. And the pirate prestige is awarded for role play. And what's more role play heavy than teamwork?
Yeah, true.
That's really good. Huh. That's pretty cool.
I'll have to make a proper PDF for it, but it's something that I was working on before, and it wasn't very well developed. But it combines very well with the pirate prestige system that they already had in place within the player's handbook.
You know, speaking of this subject, I think this is a great time, looking at the time we have here, to get into our generic realm.
Ah, yes.
Generic realm! Lots of fun! Excellent!
Oh, it's so good.
Welcome to the generic realms. I believe last time, Sam, I explained why it's the generic realms, because like the homebrew can go everywhere because you just smash it all into whatever generic setting you got going.
Truly belongs in anywhere and anything.
I do enjoy I do enjoy that. See, I can words.
I can words.
Did you word it like that?
Fun.
Right. So I like what your homebrew here is vibing to me. So why don't you go ahead and get that one?
All right. Well, we did mention this briefly before the show. I present to you from the Unearthed Arcana subreddit by user ChunkyLubber54. He had a little bit of trouble with this because he uploaded a bunch of his homebrews, and then Reddit's like, "No, smack! You can't. You gotta. We're going to take this one down. You put too many homebrews on here today." And then he had to he updated this one like 14 hours ago, so I was fortunate.
There's a limit?
Apparently, like he got flagged by the mods for quote flooding the Unearthed Arcana.
Probably meant to put it all in one thing, and it was just like
that's so good.
He had a bunch of content, and I highly recommend y'all check him out. I left a link in the description, of course. Now, we bring to you the special evocation cantrip, Witch Slap. Nice. Now, casting time and action, range of touch, and a somatic component. Duration, instant. This is accessible by artificers, bards, sorcerers, and warlocks. Might even replace your Eldritch Blast. I recommend slapping some invocations on this one.
I can see it.
You reach out and backhand a target within your reach. Make a melee spell attack against the target, treating the attack as an unarmed strike for any trait or class feature that required an unarmed strike. On a hit, the target takes 1d8 force damage, and if they are large or smaller, they are pushed 10 feet directly away from you in a straight line.
I love it.
And it upgrades as typical cantrips do. By 1d8 at 5th level, another d8 at 11th, so on and so forth. So the idea that the caster can walk up to someone and magically say, "Bitch, please."
I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of this.
It's pretty good, honestly.
It's it's not too crazy. It feels pretty solid. Maybe if I was being picky, I would maybe make it 5 feet instead of 10, but that's if I'm being really, really picky. It's a pretty solid cantrip, man.
Idea of like melee casters.
Yeah. See, me and my buddy were talking about a punch wizard where they just like punch people and cast stuff at the same time.
Yeah. Right? This fits that.
Yeah, it does, 100%.
And it says it counts as an unarmed strike. So for the purposes of monk abilities, the combo potential is like people are always dunking on the monk for not being good enough. So about time we fix that with this cantrip. I like it.
I'm a fan.
I could even see, an upgrade version of this being like maybe a first or second level spell, flurry of, I don't know, flurry of something.
Ooh, you can hit multiple targets, like 3 targets or something.
I don't know about that, where it is a cantrip, but if you used it in the same breath as like certain abilities that combine with unarmed strikes, like stunning, like a was
I
it?
can see that
Yeah,
too.
stunning strike or whatever.
You know how we talked about with your character Ezra in one of my other campaigns, how she had a spell that she liked, so she worked on it for a while and then turned it into something else, right? And then I
Yeah.
feel like natural evolution of their magic is like a part of being a caster, right? So
Yeah.
they should be able to take something that they like and be like, oh, what if I, tweak the form of the spell a little bit? I added something else.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they, make different variants of the spell or different?
Yeah, 100%. Like that flavor is really good. Like I feel like that can, even if you do want to take it out of the cantrip realm and throw it into leveled spells, you can have some fun with that.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Exchanging the range, upcasting, you get to add another person or another slap or whatever.
Yes.
Multiple hands, all of a sudden you're like, what's his face on
class where you're just a battle mage.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Force punches. Like, it's crazy. You could go out.
I do like that. It just seems like it'd be a whole lot of fun. And the concept of like, if a DM is chill with letting evocations be applied to more than just Eldritch Blast, like if somebody wants to slap evocations on something like Vicious Mockery and you happen to multi-class to get it, I'm okay with that because the concept of spitting words so hard and knocking people on their ass.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
It's supposed to be like a power in the words, right? That's the opponent, right? So why shouldn't you be able to influence the will and the intent of the spoken power?
Right.
Yeah.
And the role playing with that spell, it would be huge. Like, it's a lot of shenanigans, but it would be huge,
Not to mention just the sheer fact of that's such an anime thing to happen. Like, you shout an insult at someone so hard, not only do they take mental damage, but they're knocked back by the sheer force of your words.
Your ears
words physically come out and slap them in the face. Like,
I could see some more serious flavor here. But what you got for us this week, Sam?
All right, today I present in the r/magic items on Reddit, the Whisper Reaver, created by user the Kutal, with a collab between Nicholas Esser, created a 3D image of his weapon. It's pretty fucking dope.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a mysterious entity bound axe.
Okay.
The Whisper Reaver is a hand axe that allows communication with an unknown entity. It can create darkness you can see in and also frightens. And also
I pulled this little image up on the stream just because it's just neat.
Hell yeah, it is pretty neat. The weapon is also cursed, blurring reality and causing pain from illusions. So, item category, we have simple melee weapon, hand axe, +2 bonus, light thrown, 50,000 gold piece value. Pretty normal stuff there. So we got creation axe can sometimes be found in places steeped in dark magic, such as forbidden vaults within ancient ruins or lands cursed by forgotten tragedies. Forbidden magic users are drawn to the Whisper Reaver, seeking to commune with the mysterious entity, hoping to harness its power.
Okay, so this could kind of tie into like maybe some kind of warlock.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I'm thinking sentient weapon right off the bat. Like, that, that feels very. So
this is a very rare, requires attunement. So yeah, I can go ahead and get into the description and stuff here. We got this hand axe is made of wood and black stone. It has 3 inlaid bloodstone gems. A horrifying visage of a terrified man is etched into the weapon.
Well, you can continue that. I'm going to run to the bathroom right quick. Caffeine goes right through me, Sam.
You have a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this weapon. Pretty standard. So getting into the entity here. While attuned to this axe and holding it, you can communicate with a specific nameless entity, though whether it replies is completely up to it. Whether the axe houses this entity or is simply the connection between you and it is unknown. Whenever you activate a feature of the axe, the eyes flow with tears of blood. God damn.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty dope.
We got Taste of its world. Once per day, you may cast a darkness spell without expending a spell slot or material components. While you're holding the weapon, you can see in this darkness as if it were lightly obscured. The darkness created by this ability is also accompanied by terrifying illusions and sounds. Oh, I like this.
Oh, that's cool.
Creatures that begin their turn within the area of darkness must make a DC 16 Wisdom saving throw or be frightened until the start of their next turn. Is there a spell that does this already?
Possibly.
Really?
Question mark. If not, it's something very similar.
Yeah, like a zone spell of like.
It feels like I know like Conquest Paladin's got like a fear aura, like it's a very fear aura type of thing, right?
Creating a zone of darkness that also has a fear. Oh,
yeah, like it feels like a paladin kind of aura almost, but I'm probably just mixing stuff up.
Yeah, that's really cool.
No,
It's
that
really
actually
cool.
sounds very on brand. And dude, it just makes me think of that song "Fear of the Dark." You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, next up we have Dark Secrets. The entity bound to the axe can grant you forbidden knowledge at a cost. As a bonus action, you can ask an entity a question and receive an answer as if you had cast the Legend Lore spell. However, using this ability drains a portion of your life force, causing you to take 2d6 necrotic damage that cannot be reduced or prevented. You gain a level of exhaustion for an additional use within a day. You can ignore the cost if you offer a sentient creature's life as you ask the question. You may use this feature a number of times a day, equal to your wisdom modifier.
Interesting.
Okay.
I like
sacrifice for Legend Lore.
it's interesting. I like that there's exhaustion. I'm a big exhaustion fan.
Yeah, there's not nearly enough of it. And then like the wisdom modifier, like it's not uncommon for your more martial classes to just dump their wisdom.
Yep. Yep.
So
yeah, this is actually, I gotta say, this is one of the few like very rares that's actually reasonable.
This is really cool. I like. There's a lot of drawback to this.
This is cool.
I love drawbacks because like it adds more sustenance to a item in general. I love that kind of stuff.
It has like personality to it. You know, it has
yeah,
it's very cool.
Next up, we have the curse. While attuned to the Whisper Reaver, your mind struggles to differentiate reality from deception, causing you to have disadvantage on all saving throws and ability checks to determine illusions. Additionally, any interaction with an illusion that appears to have harmed you inflicts 1d10 psychic damage to you, as the deceptive magic convinces your mind of the pain's reality. You cannot take the psychic damage more than once each turn.
All right. So if you
this is pretty cool.
So if you do have the wisdom to be able to wield this and get some good stuff out of it, you're still likely to fail some of your wisdom saves while wielding this.
We got some last text here.
It's interesting.
Ritual faltered, shrouding the young king in an awe-consuming darkness. Terrifying beings lurked within, their ghastly whispers and shadowy forms encircling him. Out of the shadows, a sinister presence approached, its voice chilling yet alluring. Do you crave it still?
I
like
it. There's a lot of fun potential you can have there. Like it's not super OP. It's not, but there's a lot of fun drawbacks and a lot of good role playing there.
Oh, absolutely.
You have a character that this kind of like fits with.
You could easily center a entire campaign arc around something like this.
100%.
I could definitely see that. Yeah, like they want it, they don't want you to have it. Maybe like
it's a +2, right? So it's something tier 3 kind of.
All benefits. Let's see here. So we got a +2. You got this entity that can give you some information. You got
maybe it lies.
The darkness spell. I mean, it doesn't say that it tells you the truth. It just has this information.
I could see maybe making a variant of this that maybe appears to be more like
forbidden knowledge. So I mean,
yeah, like maybe have like a variation of this that seems more holy, like maybe instead of darkness, blinding light, and like kind of like reflavor some of it,
or even like a healing aura or something, right? Like
you could have like another one. They kind of go together. One's like dark. And
yes. Oh, that's good.
Oh man.
Be interesting. Oh, you know, it'd be kind of, this might be maybe not, but like it'd be cool that every time you use it or every day you got to roll to see which side you kind of like pull the power from, like good or bad. I don't know. That'd be kind of cool.
Because they never discern like what this entity is. So it's really up to you.
And it gives so much fun with that.
Of entities, it could be one singular thing.
Yeah, two entities that hate each other.
It'd be every time you sacrifice something to it, it gets like added.
Oof.
I could see that.
Yeah, there's a lot of flavor to be had with that, and it's one of those things where a lot of items benefit from the tiny bit of tweaking in homebrew that you can just throw in. Like I said before, this is a whole darkness vibe, but if you invert that a little bit, maybe the party's more apt to trust this. Maybe it's more like a tricky fae or like some kind of celestial that's just very, very sketch, like a sketch celestial. How often do you come across that?
Bound demon or something. Like it could be
yeah, it could be even like a demon, right? Like or even just like a neutral, like a chaotic neutral god, right? That's just so like unpredictable and just loves chaos, right?
Like, hey, what if I gave you this real quick?
Yeah, like
crazy little humans. Go out.
Right? Dance. Dance, monkeys.
Yes.
But that could be, man, there's a lot of fun with that on both sides of the coin, like you're saying, good and bad.
I always think about like the Death Note situation. He's just like, hey, what if I just give this to you? See what happens?
Just give this to you.
Oh,
it's
no.
really a powerful book. You're just going to have it.
I shouldn't have this. Oh no.
Oh, man. It's like having a book of finger of death.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a pretty good item. I enjoy that.
I can even see there being like a little more to it. Like maybe this entity like has a chance to corrupt you or something.
Yeah.
I could see that be a slow progression.
Yeah.
Maybe you wield it for a long time. Every like week or so, there's just a secret save.
This could be that item that levels up with players too, right? It starts off with like, you know what I mean? Like it starts off really small. You know, I can cast darkness once a day. That's it, you know, or whatever. And then as you kind of level up and unlock shit with the story, it unlocks stuff, you know, within the weapon. You know, that could be a lot of fun.
Like a cleaver or something. Like
a
great sword, maybe.
Right? Like who knows? Maybe it changes, right? Like that's kind of cool too. I know we're like completely destroyed this guy's homebrew, but
I'm sorry. I love your homebrew. Thank you so much for your creation.
It's cool. Like
this is
right, to inspire just more.
Yeah. Right? You know, shout out to Reddit user the Colloidal One, because
good job.
Like shout out to the John, what was his name again? Sorry. The person that did the art. I wrote it down here.
Yeah, is there more information on this guy? Because
it was Nicholas Esser was the person that did the art for that.
Oh yes,
really
cool.
We do appreciate our artists here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, shout out to the artists.
Yeah, I don't know if we have time.
The Colloidal's Forge, so he's got like a whole thing going on a Patreon. Nice.
Oh, nice.
Twitter,
Chronicles, and everything.
It's all over the place.
I'm pretty sure the Mythos Chronicles is part of his thing or their thing. I'm not really sure.
But anyway, I think that's pretty neat. And I love when an item just kind of like comes with a certain degree of inspiration.
Yeah. Like, if you could start kind of riffing on an idea based on a homebrew, you got something good. Even if mechanically it's not there, who cares? The idea is there, right? Mechanics can always be changed, and you know, that idea is what's important. That's a really, really cool idea. Nice small variation on shit we've seen before, and it's cool. I like it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think we have time for a monster this week. We went kind of crazy on conversation.
We went kind of nuts.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing, though.
No. I like it. This was a great one. We had great points.
Absolutely.
It was a good time. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, time flew by this time.
I know, right? It's almost midnight.
All
It's
right.
great.
So where can people find you?
I mean, not too many places just yet, but you could find me on Start Play, Facebook accounts, and I'll probably be starting a Patreon here in the next few months. That's the kind of plan, anyways. So keep an eye out for that. I'll try and keep Facebook and all the things. I'm old, so I'm on Facebook.
It's a platform.
But yeah, those are kind of my places. You can find me on Start Play and Facebook are kind of my big ones for now.
Awesome.
Hopefully a Patreon coming soon.
All right. Looking forward to that.
It's been great meeting you. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. It's been amazing.
A lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Ryan, you want to go ahead and send us out?
Well, everyone, you can find us over at the Anywhere Podcasts Be Casting, the YouTubes, the Rumble, all those fun places. And we do have a Patreon, even if it's just like
one
kind of
last thing
small.
before you finish.
Yes.
We do have the new art done by Rebecca for our banner for the new Twitter.
Ooh, I'll be putting that up.
Yeah, people can go ahead and check that out.
We are on the Twitter.
Pretty sure after this it'll be posted. So give a word out. Give her a shout out. Thank you to Rebecca. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just wanted to get
That's all good. But hey, this has been Dungeons and Talk Shows. Y'all have a great weekend, and we'll see y'all next week.
See you.
Damn.
I don't know if you have it.